You've tuned into the Relationship Therapy Podcast with Tony Miller Sr., a podcast designed for couples who are married, couples who are dating, and have marriage in their future. We will guide you to the principles that will make your relationship better. Stick around. You might just learn something that will help your relationship last longer, grow stronger, and become healthier. Now, here's your host, Tony Miller Sr.
Hello, everybody. This is your host of the Relationship Therapy Podcast, Tony Miller Sr., and welcome to this episode. I have so much information to give you today that it is going to have to be a part 2 to this. It is so much information on relationships that I've decided that I can't give it all in one episode, but I can give it to you next week. So you have to hear part 1 and part 2 in order to get the whole piece of the puzzle that we're going to give you today. So let's go ahead and get started. It's amazing to me of how many relationships fail because of a lack of trying. And the thing is, so many people concentrate on the negative aspects of the relationship, breakups and heartaches, that they forget about that there are some successful relationships out there. And when we talk about successful relationships, there's some ingredients that each relationship has. Now, I know there's some differences in each and every relationship, and there's different people involved, but I have found in my investigation of relationships that there are reasons for successful relationships. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the reasons for successful relationships. And I'm going to give you some of those reasons today. And then like I said, we're going to share with you next week the other reasons for successful relationships. So here we go. The first reason for successful relationships that we're going to talk about today is forgiving to move forward. Forgiving our significant other is an important part of our relationships. In order for us to move forward, forgiveness must be a part of the relationship. Now, I know there are some things in relationships that happen to us that we get to the point that we no longer want to forgive. And those are times when you may need to go to counseling before you just call it quits. But I'm talking about some of the little things in relationships that we fail to forgive. And when we begin to hold unforgiveness and hold it hostage and treat our mate as if they are an adversary, it starts blocking our doors for bigger and better things in the relationship. We cannot move forward if you're holding it hostage. We must realize that it's important that we learn the fine art of forgiveness in relationships. But when we hold it hostage or hold unforgiveness hostage, we are blocking our forward progress. When feelings get blocked up in things, then we stop concentrating on the major things of the relationship. So we have to understand that we've got to forgive to move forward. The second reason for successful relationships is sacrifice to be selfless. When we learn to sacrifice for our significant other, it shows them that we're selfless. Selfless means that we're thinking about ourselves less and more about our significant other. Unlike selfish people, we're giving to each other. So you have to sacrifice to be selfless. And I understand this, all sacrifices are not the same, because each couple dynamic or each relationship dynamic is different. Some people need larger sacrifices and other couples need smaller sacrifices. But sacrifice is needed. That is when you give up something that you desire so that your significant other can chase some of their desires. And it needs to be a two-way street. Because if it's not a two-way street, you go into a dead end in the relationship. Making sacrifices in a relationship is not only natural, but it's extremely important for the longevity of the relationship. I can't stress it enough. You have to sacrifice to be selfless. And then the third reason for successful relationships is pay attention to your prize. When you walk down the aisle or you were waiting for your bride at the end of the aisle, the thing about that wedding day, it was special, it was spectacular, it was pleasing to everyone. But the thing about that, you were telling the world that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with your prize, the one that you love. And when we fail to pay attention to the one that we love, we're basically telling that person, I've forgotten about you, or I don't care about you like I used to. Too often we treat familiarity with our significant other and we become selfish in that relationship, and we don't do the things or do the work that is needed to keep that relationship secure and to make it last longer. So when we pay attention to your prize, what we're saying is, make sure you notice the little things about your significant other. Maybe she's lost weight. You have to pay attention to that. Maybe he's trying a new hairstyle. You have to pay attention to that. And when you are paying attention to those things or those subtle changes, you're demonstrating to your mate that they are the object of your affection, that your eyes are on them. See, what happens too often in relationships is we treat our relationships just like we used to treat our toys at Christmas. You remember how you used to get your toys on Christmas Day and you just couldn't stop playing with them. Your parents would say, come eat, but you were ready just to play with that toy all day. But 4 or 5 days down the road, you tend to forget that toy existed. We must not allow that to happen to our relationships. When we pay attention to our significant other, it is sending a positive message. And it is adding value to the relationship. And when you add value to the relationship, it seals that relationship in love, and it seals it in confidence and in hope. So when you pay attention to your significant other, it gives you a deeper commitment from each other. Just remember this, if you're not paying attention to your significant other, you better believe somebody else will be. Now that's all I've got for you today. Just remember, you got to tune in next week to get part 2 of the reasons for successful relationships. Thank you for listening, but always remember this, it takes 2 to make a relationship work. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Relationship Therapy Podcast with Tony Miller Sr. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Tune in next time for more insight on how to make your relationship better. If you have any questions, please email us at tmrelationshiptherapy@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, it takes two to make the relationship work.